for joining us.
Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
Welcome to the podcast. You are now tuned in to this episode of our podcast. Today, we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. And now, please welcome your host.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And we're back. I just got back from Harvard University, and you get to see American Jewish students are nervous, and there's protests, there's anti-Semitism, and it affects the learning. And the truth is there is an alternative, and that's, of course, Israel. The colleges are excellent. So we're going to be focusing on Ben Gurion University of the Negev, and they do amazing work. They really mean business, and they've been around and growing and expanding, and you don't have the same hassles that you have in the United States going to some of the top universities. With us right now is Doug Seserman, the CEO of the Americans for Ben Gurion University. He's an award-winning nonprofit executive known for his creative business vision. He was named one of Jerusalem Post's 50 most influential leaders in 2023, I should say, for his vision and impact as a thought leader and changemaker, transforming the conversation around 21st century Zionism. And they've been running a seminar once a year since October 7th about resilience. So welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much, Zev, for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So let's just tell our audience some more information about Ben Gurion University. I know that I love your slogan that you mean business, and it's a great slogan because it really typifies what you're doing, and you have world-class instructors. I saw that you even hiring new people in the last year or two, which is amazing. So you're growing. And so tell us about the university, some of the disciplines that it excels in.
Sure. So sometimes we talk about BGU as representing, and we use a tagline, from the desert for the world, from the Negev desert there in southern Israel for the world. And at the university, we really do four different things. Of course, we do education and research. That's the hallmark of any great university. We teach 20,000 students, 2/3 of them undergraduate, 1/3 graduate. Of the graduate students, there are over 50 countries represented where students take coursework in English, mostly at the graduate level, but some undergraduate educational offerings, and we're working on more degree programs. And then also what makes the university unique is what we refer to sometimes as the Beersheva or the Ben Gurion spirit, the idea of social justice and community service, that we're not just an ivory tower institution. Our students are drawn to the Negev to make a difference, and they volunteer and help uplift the communities around the university. And then what really makes us unique among the 9 universities in Israel is that we're the only one for the Negev region. So David Ben Gurion, the founder and first prime minister and namesake of the university, used to say, and he had lots of quotes, but one of them was that the future of Israel would emerge from the desert, from the Negev desert. And to make the desert bloom, you need scientific know-how, the Jewish brain to figure these things out. Today, we call that climate research and climate change and studies and programs. But that we've been doing this for a long time. We're a world leader in water research, and desalination as a technology came out of Ben Gurion University, just as an example. So we have 3 campuses, the main campus in Beersheva. Sometimes I refer to it as the brains of the operation. Sde Boker is the soul of the place where Ben Gurion is buried, for those who have visited his gravesite in Sde Boker at the Zin Valley. It's one of the most majestic places in all of Israel. And then our campus in Eilat, which sometimes I talk about as the heart of the university, and we could talk more about that. But it's an amazing place. If I had to have one headline thought, it's a Migdalor. It's a beacon of light that emanates out of the southern part of Israel, spreading education, which is the gaining of knowledge, and the sharing of knowledge through its research accomplishments throughout the world. So,
well, I was impressed. I saw that you have 100 new patents submitted in 2023 and over 150 startups established using the technology at the university.
Yeah, we are ranked once again one of the top 50 universities in the world for entrepreneurship. We have an entrepreneurship program called Yazamut 360. Yazamut's entrepreneurship in Hebrew. You don't take coursework per se. You don't get a degree in entrepreneurship at Ben Gurion, but you get infused with entrepreneurship and different program offerings. It's an amazing place. It's like Startup Nation on steroids. Whether you're a student or a faculty member, ideas flourish. We're great at multidisciplinary research, which means professors and scientists from different fields actually working together. The president of the university, Professor Daniel Shamovitz, he says the secret sauce of Ben Gurion is coffee. Sitting down with people who might be like-minded, share a vision, but have different expertise. And when they come together to solve a world challenging problem, great things happen, including startup companies.
I thought you were alluding to the fact that maybe he came up with some secret formula for the coffee to make a difference.
That could be. He's a plant scientist, so you should feel free to interview Danny at some point. But he's a plant biologist turned university president.
How has October 7th changed or influenced or affected Ben Gurion University?
Wow, that's a very good question, and makes me sort of sit back a little bit in the chair. I would say that the answer is greatly and maybe forevermore. Sometimes we refer to this as, we knew we were an important institution on October 6th. We were directly and disproportionately impacted on October 7th. I'll explain that. And on the other side, October 8th, or where we find ourselves now, all these months later, we've become a very important institution, if not the most important institution, to the recovery and rebuilding of the South, which is necessary to take Israel forward. So let's go back to October 6th. On October 6th, like I mentioned before, 20,000 students. We're Israel's number 3 university in size, the fastest growing of the major research universities, and the only one that represents the Negev region and works to fulfill its place in Israel's destiny. So we knew we were an important institution on October 6th. Unfortunately, because of our location, if you look at our main campus in Beersheba, you look at it on a map of Israel, it's the geographic center of Israel. And only by how the crow flies, about 22 miles to Gaza. We had a lot of students at the Nova Music Festival and have been really impacted directly and disproportionately. We have 118 dead, unfortunately, as part of our community. That makes the university's community almost 10% of all the deaths in Israel. 6,000 of our students had to serve in Miluim duty, reserve duty. A number of them still fighting. Some of our students serving more than 300 days in different units. Many of our faculty also serving and employees. Unfortunately, not everybody comes home from their IDF service. So that's all in our numbers of dead and injured, which is just outrageous. And I would say the entire university, the countries like this too, but in particular, suffering, traumatized. PTSD has taken on a new term, I think, in Israel, because the P is not post, it's perpetual. And we're an incredibly traumatized place because everybody is impacted either directly or just 1 degree, maybe no more than 2 degrees from somebody, family member, student, alumni, murdered, fallen since defending the country. So it's been brutal. At the same time, the president of the university made a commitment that no student would be left behind. And we've done everything that we could to make sure that studies continued and that people would have the opportunity to finish their coursework and move on with their careers. And we're proud of that accomplishment. Of course, people need assistance, more time for test taking, counseling, because they feel bad if their buddies are still in combat and they're back now in school. A lot of difficult issues for people to work through. But on October 6th, we knew we were important to the future of Israel. 60% of the land is the Negev. And Ben Gurion always understood that you had to develop the country south to realize its full potential. So for all those reasons, we were motivated on October 7th. What happened. And since we are still dealing with the aftermath, because this war isn't over, this conflict's not resolved. We don't really know what the day after plan is for the country vis-a-vis how to manage Gaza and the situation. But we know that at the end of the day, the recovery and rebuilding of the Negev is going to be dependent in great part because of us. We're the largest employer of the region. As you mentioned before, we're a source of innovation and growth for startup companies and future employment. We have very close relationships with the municipalities that are around the region. Sometimes Danny says this about Ben Gurion and the Negev, and this is not to say anything negative about any other institution, because it takes the village and everybody does great work. But if you take Tel Aviv University out of Tel Aviv and moved it to Palo Alto, Tel Aviv would be okay. They could survive and redevelop the land, and the faculty and students would wake up in Palo Alto, and the weather might seem kind of similar, and they would continue their work of studies and science, etc. But if you remove Ben Gurion University from Beersheba and the Negev, you would be really creating a big hole in the ecosystem that is the South. So what we know is, and we're very proud of the role that we play in the relationship between a great university and a great community. To use that example of Palo Alto, for example, for a second, if you take Stanford out of Palo Alto, right, it's a nice place to live between San Francisco and San Jose. But with Stanford, you can create Silicon Valley. That's the role we play with the ripple effect of a great university on a region. So sometimes we call it Silicon Wadi or a dry riverbed. So Ben Gurion, in spirit and in reality, is embedded in the ecosystem and growth and success of the Negev into the future.
We're speaking with Doug Seserman, CEO of Americans for Ben Gurion University. He's an award-winning nonprofit executive known for being creative in business. And of course, they mean business at BGU at Ben Gurion University. After October 7th, did you get more students coming from outside Israel, particularly the United States?
You know, initially our foreign students went home. They're all virtually back again. What we have right now is a lot more interest in from overseas students. And I'm talking about North Americans, but also we have a lot of students from India and China who like to go to school in Israel for the know-how, and then they take that knowledge back to their home countries and make great Israeli ambassadors internationally. We're currently working through how to grow our program offering. We have launched in the last 2 years Israel's first and largest School of Sustainability and Climate Change. We're going to have a bachelor's degree offering for that school shortly. We are working on more certificate and degree programs for North American students. There's no question, and I'm a proud alumni of Northwestern University in Chicago, and it's had its own host of challenges as it relates to anti-Semitism, which is so foreign to me as a proud Jew who was involved in both non-Jewish things and Jewish stuff at Northwestern. It's just incomprehensible for me to think that there's anti-Semitism problems at Northwestern, but there are. And I think what we've got to do is make sure that Jewish kids in the United States are proud to be Jewish wherever they're going to school, and that those schools are safe, but that there's also opportunities to further their education or get their actual degrees from the Israeli universities, including Ben Gurion University. So I wouldn't even think it's an alternative. I could see a future state where the Jewish leader of the future is degreed on either side of the world, but understands both sides and feels committed to the future of their home country and the future of Israel and the world.
Because I would think, I know Aliyah is up since October 7th. People don't feel safe here. They want to be more in the Israeli environment. And I would assume that probably more students would feel the same way of being more committed to Israel, and also because the environment in the United States want to be in a safer place.
Yeah, Zev, you're spot on. Not just the students, but also their parents. And sometimes parents write these checks that pay for tuition.
A lot of times.
Exactly.
Isn't that what PhD stands for? Papa has dough.
Oh, I like that. I hadn't heard that before. That's really good. What's nice about Ben Gurion is generally any student that qualifies for that level of education, we provide the fellowship, so it doesn't have to be Papa has dough. If there's a talented student that wants to be a scientist and use their brains to advance the world, we're going to find a way to make sure they get educated.
Now, Israel is known that despite the terrible tragedy of October 7th, there's a tremendous and remarkable resilience that the Israeli nation has. In fact, you are reflecting, when I say you, I mean Ben Gurion University is reflecting on that with a special webinar called Remarkable Resilience, Excellence in the Face of Adversity. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that, Zev. It's really important, because I think right now people can get down a little bit. It's depressing, it's traumatizing. I returned in January from my third trip since October 7th. I'm speaking to you from my office in New York City. And I would say that the country is traumatized, but at the same time, it's been incredibly resilient, immediately resilient, and has powered through this difficulty. And there's also hope, which Hatikva, the national anthem, means hope. There's hope for the future. And I think you see that at a university setting. What we're doing with this program, Remarkable Resilience, is trying to showcase both the resilience of the university and also hope for the future, because there will be brighter days ahead. And we need to be focused on the light, not on the darkness. The light in the world always powers through the darkness. And that's what we do as a Jewish people. We're the light unto the nations. This program in particular is on May 7th, I believe, at noon Eastern. It's free to attend. People can register on our website or through social media and the different offerings. We really encourage people to participate. And what they're going to get is an hour-long program that gives them a tour of the remarkable things happening in Israel, showcased by Ben Gurion University. They're going to get a tour of our three campuses, Beersheba, Sde Boker, and Eilat. And many people who are pro-Israel honestly don't spend enough time in the Negev. They visit Israel, but it's kind of a hassle to go south. And this will be a virtual program that enables one to tour what's happening without physically being there. And of course, on some future trip, we'd love to plan an outing for you, either with your congregation or any organization that you're affiliated with, or on your own.
Maybe make a Passover program. That's very popular these days.
Yeah, that's true. I was just talking to a friend of mine who spent Passover at Camp Ramah. We're not Camp Ramah, but we're a lot of fun. But anyway, so at the program, people will meet both faculty and students at our three campuses, the main campus in Beersheba, which is incredible, and get a sense for our medical school and how the role we played to help with all the disaster and suffering on October 7th, and also the education of some of Israel's top doctors and the world's top doctors. We'll also learn about PTSD and helping children through clinical psychology and different program offerings, where we have an affiliation with Soroka Hospital, which is across the street. Their doctors are also our educators. So we work very collaboratively to educate Israel's doctors, us in Soroka, future doctors. And you go to Sde Boker, where we do world-leading desert science, and you'll meet some of the international students and faculty that study how to make the desert bloom. And when you learn how to shrink a desert, you learn how to feed starving Africa. And that's the idea of knowledge gain and knowledge transfer. So that's evident. And then we go down to Eilat, which is one of my favorite places in Israel, and a place that is not visited often by tourists when they come. Eilat is the southern tip of Israel, very strategically important place. It borders Egypt and Jordan. You can see Saudi Arabia on a clear day. Moses parted the Red Sea right there. And today what we're doing is world-leading marine biology. This professor named Nadav Shashar, I refer to him sometimes as Israel's Jacques Cousteau. He's developed 3D printed, literally 3D printed coral that fish prefer as a marine habitat to regular coral, normal coral. It's a coral restoration strategy, unbelievable technology that helps warming waters in an environment where we have global climate challenges. So people will be amazed. And I think if you watch this program, you're going to feel good about Israel, feel good about its future, learn some things you maybe knew and some other things that you didn't. And at the end of the day, let's just spread the word of the good work that is happening in Israel. Yes, at Ben Gurion University, but importantly, throughout the country. The world is a better place, simply put, because Israel is in it. So those who are anti-Israel, honestly, don't know what they're talking about.
Let me about the information, by the way. If you want to join the seminar, it's the number 4bgu.org/remarkable resilience, and that will get you to the event or to register for the event. Again, that's the letter A, the number 4bgu.org/remarkable resilience. That'll get you through. I love it a lot, by the way. It's a great place. I was just there once, but I had such a marvelous time there. It's a great place to be.
Come back again. We'll host you on campus.
I love that. It's really fantastic. And I'll tell you something, when you were talking about the resilience, and this is part of the picture, is I forgot the exact statistics, but prior to October 7th, Israel was known to be among the top 5 of the happiest places in the world for a person to live. And I was kind of surprised that after October 7th, and despite the devastation, Israel still ranks. It dropped a notch, but among the happiest places on earth for people to live. And that shows the resilience of Israel.
Yeah,
the Jewish people.
You're right. You're spot on. And I think as Americans and as American Jews, we've got something to learn from Israel with that. And, you know, it's interesting. I think of it sometimes as the glass half full versus the glass half empty. It's the same glass. It's the same water or coffee line. It's how you look at it. And I think in Israel, there's a source of optimism and purpose to why they live there and where they are and what it takes to make the country flourish. And if you are part of that in Israel, you should be an optimist. Yes, there are difficult things and we're in a difficult time. But the state of Israel, the modern state of Israel, is a great miracle. And it continues to happen because of everybody's hard work, whether you're living there or you're living here and you're supporting the work there. Our tagline we use is partners in the remarkable. Israel is remarkable. The university, its students and faculty at Ben Gurion are remarkable in a huge way. And what we are is we're their partners here, actively involved in helping them, supporting them for the future of the school, the Negev region, the country, and honestly, the world.
And also a lot of innovations, as you pointed out, are coming from Ben Gurion University, which helps not just Israel, but whether it's water technology, salination, helps the whole world. But it starts in Israel. That's where the beginning, that's where it's tested and proven and then exported to other parts of the world.
Listen, I don't have to tell you, being the podcast leader and talk show host, Zev Brenner extraordinaire, but you know, the Jewish people have a purpose, right? It's Or Lagoim. It's the idea of a light unto the nation. Now, what does that mean? It means we're an ethical people, but it also means that we are a positive contributor to the world. The idea of tikkun olam, our value to make the world a better place, this is just embedded as who we are as Jews. And I think the way to think about the university in a way is almost like 21st century Zionism. It's not out of the ashes of the Holocaust. You needed Israel. Yes, that's true. But what we are is basically cementing Israel's role in the world because we're a positive contributor through the education and the research and the advancement in any of these areas we've been talking about. The world's just simply a better place with Israel in it. And that's our job.
I want to teach everybody know that they don't know, but not a lot of nations and people appreciate what the Jews have done and what Israel has done to help mankind. So many different technology, whether it's Waze or the Salinations I mentioned, or drone, you name the technology, fax machine, so many different technology emanated out of Israel, but people don't give Israel the credit, and hopefully that will change. We will hope and pray that's going to change.
Right. I mean, we're talking via some incredible streaming technology that as your podcast and things have evolved over the years, use different technologies, and Israel's at the cutting edge of all of that. Here's my iPhone. Inside of these instruments, these smartphones, a lot of Israeli technology. So the world likes to critique Israel, but utilize everything that's coming out of that Jewish brain to be shared. And at the end of the day, is the critiquing going to end? Never. It's not going to end. And is Israel perfect? No, it's not perfect. But one of the messages I try to share is that Israel's future is not going to come from people arguing about what's wrong with Israel. Okay, because there are some things wrong, and we can have those arguments, and I personally enjoy a lot of those arguments and debates. But at the end of the day, where the future is going to come from, it's going to come from a rallying around what's right. And if you go to the university and you interact with the students and the scientists in the Negev Desert, which is completely uncontested land of Israel, you will say everything is close to right here. And somebody tell me what's wrong, because there isn't much. We have Bedouin students going to college for the very first time, many of them the first of their families. We have on our faculty Arabs and Jews. About 10% of our student population is Arab Israeli. I mentioned the Bedouins were by far the university with the most Bedouin student population. A lot of them, 70% of our Bedouin students are women, the first of their families to go to university. And they go home and they uplift their communities with good jobs and help to send the Bedouin aspect of Israeli society on a different trajectory. So, Israel is a Jewish state. It's also a shared society. There are Jews and Muslims and Christians that all live in Israel, that all have rights and vote in a true democracy. And what we do at the university is we educate, we do science, we advance knowledge, we create new companies. It's all good. It really is.
Wonderful. Great work that you're doing. So Doug Seserman, CEO of Americans for Ben Gurion University, is award-winning nonprofit executive. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for steering and helping Ben Gurion University to grow and expand, even despite the challenging times that Israel has gone through since October 7th. And people can see the remarkable resilience, excellence in the face of adversity on Wednesday, May 7th at 12 noon Eastern time. If you want to register for the seminar, again, you can find it at the letter A, the number 4, bgu.org/remarkable resilience.
One thing, can I add one thing?
Sure, absolutely.
So, we've talked a lot about what happened on October 7th. And one message I want to leave is where do we go on the other side? And, we've introduced a campaign we call Way Forward. And we were working on this before October 7th. And that name, Way Forward, it was kind of a double entendre. It was intended to be a campaign that would enable us to meet the needs of the university in the Negev. But it's turned into like a triple entendre, the way to meet the needs for the university, the Negev, the rebuilding and recovery, which then leads to the securing of the state of Israel for the future. So it's really about all of those things. And it's a very ambitious effort for us to raise as a university $1 billion over a 10-year period of time frame. 600 million of that, or 60%, targeted to come from the United States. And what we want to do is just make sure that people understand why BGU is so important to the future and can get involved in whatever way they want. So please watch the program on Remarkable Resilience. It's free to attend. We just want people to be aware and to know KNOW, what we're doing. If in the end we ever solicit you, feel free to say no, NO, but we want you to know KNOW about our work.
And people should do it NOW now. Don't wait so long. Anyway,
I love that.
Doug Seserman, CEO of Americans for Ben Gurion University, thank you for being with us. Continued success, and we look forward to having you back on a future program.
Thank you so much, Zev, for having me and for featuring the university.
Thank you for tuning in to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, the pulse beat of the Jewish community.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.